can rob you of your life energy, your life force, and really create outcomes that are undesirable in life. If you're tuning in right now, that might mean you're in the middle of a storm. And I want to share some insights that I've gone through my own bouts of depression. Depression's so bad that at one point I could only see in black and white. Like literally, it was very difficult for me to see colors around me because I was so just dense and heavy and carrying so much depressed energy. But I want to help you break free from that so you never have to experience that again. Now, if you and I have not met, my name is Troy, and my goal is to help you out in life. Now, for years in my life, I went through a series of setbacks, a series of challenges, and those challenges just seemed to kind of stack on top of me. And then when you find yourself at a point where you're experiencing depression, it's often time because those experiences, like I just talked about, have stacked on top of you and you found yourself being collapsed. Now, when you have depressed energy, you're also going to have oppressed energy. You're dense, you're tight. When you're oppressed, it means you can't really move or navigate through life. You might feel stuck. And so understand first that it's a feeling that's in the body, right? You can feel that sensation, that heaviness in the body. And then it's often carried and kind of expressed through the thoughts of the mind or lack of thoughts in the mind. Because when you feel depressed, your mind is really stifled and shut down. So how do you break free? I want you to approach this from a few different angles. The first one I'm going to look at, it's a little bit woo-woo, a little bit theoretical, like we can't actually place our hand on it necessarily. But I think as I unpack this, you'll understand that it's actually very real. And I want you to think of energy. And so think of everything you engage with as having an energy to it, okay? So even like the city you live in, the house or the home you live in, the people or multiple people throughout the day that you engage with, the music you listen to, the food you eat, all has energy to it, okay? So now, if we're feeling heavy, right, think of that energy exchange. So I want you to think of what energy do I put into this? Like, what is it taking from you? Like maybe there's a certain friend that, you know, they're a friend, you've known them for a long time, but every time you talk to them, they complain. And maybe you find yourself commiserating. Oh, yeah, this sucks, that sucks, you gossip. There's a resonance that's taking place. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. But that is actually taking energy from you. Now, it might be giving you back energy as well, but I want you to do an audit, right? So the taking of energy might be around maybe a 7, let's say. So it takes like 10 being the most, 1 being the least. It takes around a 7 from you, this relationship. And then the energy you get back from it is maybe a 5. So if you look at that one instance, you're at a -2 energetically speaking. So what I would like you to do is in your own free time, or even just kind of like meditating on this, is think of all the things that you engage with energetically and do an audit with them. So again, maybe it's your work environment, right? There's an energy exchange there. Man, it takes 10 and I only get a 3 back, -7. Just make note of it for now. Maybe the foods you eat, you know, when I eat ice cream, right? I feel, you know, it gives me some comfort. I feel good. Maybe it's actually only a 4 because it's kind of that upfront type of engagement, right? And then on the back end, the energetic exchange is an 8 of what you lose, what it takes out. Now, I think of these things when you're going through challenging times, like, just to be frank, like bad food, alcohol, drugs, negative conversations, things that waste your time. That's a freaking luxury. Like if you're moving through life and you really want to get somewhere, you know what you want, it's a luxury to be able to do those things. And I don't know about you, but I ain't got time for it. I don't have the excess energy to be able to do that. It doesn't mean that time to time there's not a place for these things, right? But overall, it's going to drop your energetic exchange. And then you're going to find yourself kind of engulfed. Because like, look, the reality is if you're like me, like most people out there, you have to like put a lot of effort in, a lot of energy out to create the life that you want. And it ain't easy. There's a lot of obstacles already. And so if you find yourself engaging in these different activities, engaging in these different substances, these different kind of conversations, it's taking your energy and draining it. So what we're doing here is if you look at this, like either a surplus of energy or this negative level of energy, I want you to think of an energetic scale. There's actually one by Dr. Richard Hawkins. It's called like the energetic scale of consciousness, something like that. That actually might be it, something like that. But essentially it shows how like these different levels of thought, right, have different energies to them. And so that's a very real part of it as well. When we're in this coping kind of depressed energy, oftentimes it's like a victim energy. We're looking at woe was me, the lack, what I don't have. And so a quick solution from that, like all that, like that's like low heavy energy. You felt it before and it resonates with depression. Remember, depression is not like something you catch. It's not like a cold or something like that. It's a state that's kind of created. And so think of it as this heavy, like dense energy dragging you down. And these little notions of, yeah, you've been slighted. Things are tough for you. Yeah, it's not your fault. It's their fault. They seem comforting, right? It's like, it's like the first bite of a donut. Tastes good. The next thing you know, you've devoured 3 more donuts. I think thoughts are kind of similar. And so these low level energetic thoughts kind of pull you down and drain your energy. And then they leave you, going back to this energetic scale, there's like 3 levels essentially. You have this suffering energy, very low level, right? Been there myself, spent many years there actually. When I was seeing black and white as far as depression goes, I was in that suffering, just like, man, when you're suffering, anything just to like get by is the reality of your day, right? And with that, you resonate with a lot of low level thinking. So, like a lot of dangerous ideologies, right? Been there myself. And from there, if you can move up, ideally, energetically speaking, just follow along, right? Then we move into this like coping level of energy. And so, coping is like, I'm getting by. I'm doing all right. Like you might even find yourself saying things like that. How you doing? I'm doing all right. I'm good. I'm getting by, right? Okay, so you're moving into a different level of thoughts. And with that, coping type behaviors come. Like, maybe it's just passively passing time or watching TV. Again, other substances, even like, I think like different substances kind of resonate with these different levels of energy. And then lastly is this thriving type of energy where you're just alive, you're vibrant, you're thriving. So if you go back to the audit that we talked about, and you find yourself doing this audit, and at the end of the audit, you're at a dense, like negative energetic exchange, more than likely you're in suffering, right? Literally, let's say you're at negative. And so what you do is you add up, like this is what these take away from me on a scale of 1 to 10, each item, boom, 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 this person, this relationship, this environment, bang, 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 bang. And then you add up what they give you, because they're going to give you something maybe as well, or maybe not. You're going to add those up and then like do it as an equation and see where you're at. And just be honest with it. That's just giving you a viewpoint of your reality. And so you might find you're at a negative energetic exchange, you're in suffering. If you're kind of at that even point, maybe a little positive or a little negative, you're probably in that getting by type of energy. Ideally, what we want to do is get you to that high level of energetic excess where you're like spilling over. And that's actually a biblical term that says, my cup overfilleth. And that what that means is like your energy is so strong, you've cultivated it so much because you are an energetic being that it starts to fill over, like your cup overfilleth, and then it pours out to everything around you. And so now there's things you can do to increase like your energy as far as this goes, is you can avoid certain things, people, situations, you can change. Sometimes that's harder. And so one of the things you can do is change the way you interact with these things. As an example, let's say it's your home, right? Maybe you just clean it up a bit. You clean up the energy around it. And you felt that before. Damn, it feels better when you get it clean, right? You throw some stuff away, clear space out. You open some windows. You buy some plants, maybe a lot of plants. Now think of the energy you've cultivated. You change the lighting a little bit. And so now something that maybe gave you a 6 level energy is giving you an 8. You make it so you can sleep better at night. You change the lighting so to more of like an amber lighting, these calm lights before you go to bed. And so we're putting conscious awareness into everything that we engage energetically. And that's the key, is I want you to understand and put your awareness, like I said, almost like you're meditating around these things. Everything you engage with energetically, meditate on what the exchange is from an energetic standpoint. And so this naturally, what this does is start to elevate your depressed state. So do you notice what you and I are doing here? I didn't approach like depression just right at the face of it. Like, here's depression. Here's what you do. We're looking at it from this energetic standpoint. Told you just a little bit of woo-woo, but let's play in that woo-woo for a little while. So as we create that, naturally things start to change. You'll notice yourself not wanting to hang out with certain people, not wanting to engage in certain conversations, not wanting to consume certain types of substances. Like literally, the example I use is when you're really clear and know what you want, you'll say no. Like when I go out to eat, man, like I have like Crohn's or celiacs type stuff, right? It's not like actual celiacs, but I'm very I get inflamed by wheat and foods like that, okay? Grainy type foods. And so I avoid those at all costs because it gives me fatigue. I feel foggy in my mind. It just kind of drops my energy, and I don't like that at all. And so when bread comes across the table when I'm eating dinner, I don't touch it. It's on like it's like an unconscious thought. I have no interest in it because it lowers my state. And so you notice as you raise your state, emotionally, energetically, you're going to do the same thing with people, same thing with situations, same thing with certain environments. I don't want to engage with those. Naturally start to drop the other things that are toxic for you. So you see, it's like a, we're going in, we're finding a different way in to work with depression, not just right up front, right? We're going to talk about that in a second, but I want you to cultivate and meditate on the energy and everything you engage with, because it's naturally going to change your depressed states. So then, of course, there's other things like you want to exercise through this time. You want to get out in nature. You want to get sunshine on your face, on your body. You want to find ways to laugh. And so what we're doing here is we're changing what we resonate with. Right? Like you've all felt that, like when there's maybe you had a heartbreak and then your heart's kind of broken, you turn the radio on and song comes on, you're like, oh, they made this song like just for me. Oh my God, yes. That's because you're resonating with a certain type of frequency, a certain type of energy in that moment. And so the thing to do is to starve out those types of energy. Doesn't mean you're like avoiding anything that's negative or heavy. In fact, you want to feel into those energies, be aware of them, but you don't have to attach to them. So when you feel sadness, just recognize it. There is sadness. It doesn't mean you're agreeing that you are sadness. You're just recognizing sadness for what it is. Okay. And then when I starve these things out, what you're doing effectively is you hear that song, you notice you start to resonate with it, and you're like, nope, ain't gonna do it. Let me find something more high vibe, a different kind of energy, a different kind of song to listen to. Conversation. Hey man, maybe we could talk about something different. Or maybe you just change the conversation. I'll do that. If I'm around certain people and they start engaging in gossip or something, I'll just change the subject. Bam, I ain't into it. Like, let's move along. It's wasting our time. That's pulling my energy down, actually. And so, again, what you're doing here from this energetic standpoint, and actually as you exercise, right? Like, think how good you feel after exercise. You do some yoga, you do a new hobby, whatever it is. You start to raise your energetic and mental state, and then you naturally start to think differently. So the quick remedy for depression is expression, to express your energy, to get it out, to get it moving, and to create like what we call like a positive life. So you engage in things that are positive for you. And so also what you're doing is you're cultivating that. So you might find certain things during this season, and it's probably one of the more difficult things to do, right? Because as you feel depressed, it's hard to go out, but you got to like lead yourself. Like you're walking a dog almost, like, all right, man, it's time to go for a walk. Like you got to do that with you every now and then. Take yourself for a walk and walk your ass over to yoga, right? Walk your ass over to whatever, Pilates class. Walk your ass outside for a little bit, get under the sun. Every morning you get up, go meet the sun. Every evening you do something calm, you get into your mind, you say gratitude, you write those things down. You're leading yourself through this situation. And then what happens is you start to notice a distinct line. You understand like, oh, here's depression. This is what it feels like. This is things that take me over there. Right. And like I said earlier, man, this kind of shit is a luxury, right? If you want to go out and you want to drink, you want to eat bad foods, you want to do these things, you want to have negative conversations, just realize it's a luxury, man. And it might throw you right over on the other side of that depressed energy. But I ain't got time for that. I don't know about you. I don't want to spend any time there because this has a cost to it. It's called, in business, we call that an opportunity cost. There's a cost to not only the energy in the moment, but also the other things you could be doing, the people you might be meeting, the things you might be creating. So there's a real cost to it, and there's an opportunity cost that you don't always see. And so our goal is to get away from that and move into this energy where you're creating and actively being an active participant in the creation of your life. So that, my friend, is a little bit about depression, a different way to look at it, right? There's probably a lot of different angles, and I said that's kind of the goal, is to attack it from different multiple angles. And this is just an energetic look at it, and actually some practical things you can do. But all of it is actually possible. I want you to most importantly feel that energy, feel that line, so you know what it feels like when you're heading towards it, so you can quickly navigate away from it. What that's going to do is going to help you navigate those situations and life more effectively. And in my opinion, that's the game of life. Like, you can't stop the difficult things from happening always, but what you can control is how you navigate it. And your goal is to learn the skills and get the tools so you can navigate these seasons that much better. Hope you found this helpful. Now, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, and make sure you head to my website, troyfontana.co. It's in the description below. Go ahead and click that link. And I love you all so much. And until next time, peace.